Hello and welcome back to the Goodness Margin, the place where we find margin for the good things in life. This month, I am going to be answering your questions. These are questions you've asked me on social media or email or here on YouTube. So if you have a question you would like to be answered, I'd love for you to drop that below in the comments and I will add that to my list of videos that we are going to create here on this channel. Now, this question is one I get often, but especially as we're entering summertime. What about my kids? I hear I'm bored 100 times, and if I hear it one more time, I think I'm just gonna fall out. I completely understand that. I have a 15-year-old and a 6-year-old, and in their own unique ways, they both feel the need to be entertained for the summer. The reality is, I don't have the time to create a specialized schedule and to tell my kids exactly what they need to be doing every minute of every day. So I have created a list for my kids. It's sort of a schedule, but it's a little bit flexible. These are lists I have for them during the school year. Obviously, they are almost 10 years apart in age, and so the lists are different for each of my children. During the summer, it's a really important time for me to bring these lists, to update them, to create a list that works for the summer. This is a really important tip. Your summer does not have to look like anyone else's summer. Do what works best for your family. I'm going to share with you some tips to create a summer that can be hopefully a little bit more relaxing, and you will not hear so many, "Mom, I'm bored. Mom, what should I do next?" But do what works for you. Grab which of these tips work for you and make them work for your family. So tip number one is to create a schedule, but keep it flexible. I do have a schedule for my kids, and this works especially well for my 6-year-old, but it is a flexible schedule. There was a time that I tried to create a timed schedule. Okay, from 8 to 8:30, we're going to do this. From 8:30 to 9, we're going to do this. What happens when life happens and you get a little bit off of that schedule? And then it's like the rest of the day is derailed. So rather than do that, I've created a list of things that work for my kids. For example, for my daughter, she's going to wake up and she's going to eat breakfast. Now, that time varies. Sometimes she wakes up really early in the morning, and there's times that she sleeps until 9 or 9:30. It's the summertime. I am not going to wake her up. That's what works in our family. Unless we have somewhere to go, I'm going to let the kids sleep in. On the list, it doesn't have a time. It just says breakfast. This means when she wakes up, she knows she's going to eat breakfast. And then it will have get ready, which includes brushing your teeth, fixing your hair, and for her to get ready for the day. And so then I go through the things that I would like to see her do before she receives media time. And the same thing for my son. My son's list is even a little bit more flexible. He can decide to do something before he does something else. The only thing is I limit how much media time he has, and he has to get his other things done before he has media time. So make it flexible, create a list. And then, of course, there may be some days where that we're not at home all day. And so I'll say, okay, today, guys, you don't have to do these certain things on your list. You still have to do these things. Tip number two is be ready to change. There are times, just about every time actually, that I've created these lists for my kids, especially at the beginning of the school year. We think this is the way things are going to work out. And then they have a lesson time that has changed. Both of my children this next school year will be in an online school. And so things sometimes change throughout the school year. It's okay. Just take a minute, sit down, adjust your list, adjust your plan, adjust your schedule, and flow with it. Be flexible and be okay with making some changes for anything that is not working out for you. Tip number three is to create a mix of fun and then some things that may be considered work to your children. During the week, we ask our kids, what's something you'd like to do? We try to plan ahead. Now, one week it may be something as big as going to the zoo, and then another week it may be something as simple as going to the splash pad or going to the library. Or for my son, there may be a favorite burger place that he would like to visit. And so we are going to create a mix of some fun things that we can do, but also I use this time during the summer to help my children to learn to do tasks that are life skills. We have a chore list that they have to complete. And these are things that are important for them to know what to do. So while there are fun things on their list, there are also things that they may not consider to be quite so fun, but we definitely keep a mix there. Tip number four is to try something out that we call commissions. We don't use the word allowance because allowance is sort of creating this idea that you get money just for existing. And that's really, we all know that is not the way that life works when you become an adult. So we call it a commission. There are some things that you're going to do, like unloading the dishwasher and putting your clothes away and helping to set the table and clear the dishes from dinner. You do those things because you live in this household. We are all part of a family, and as our family unit, we work together to get things done. But then there are some extra things. My son takes care of the lawn during the summer. Well, my husband is going to pay him to do that. He is going to earn a commission. I'm teaching my daughter to do some household things like dusting baseboards and things like that. So those extra things that I get her to do, she knows that she's doing those extra things to earn a commission. This is also a great way for them to save up money for something that they want to buy this summer, or maybe something a little bit bigger that they want to do than you have decided that is in your schedule for the summer. So try that out. The summertime is a great time. Your kids have extra time. It's a great opportunity for them to learn the value of money and the value of working for that money. Tip number 5 is probably my favorite and something that's really important. I work from home, and I work from home all year long. So summertime is no different than any other time other than both of my kids are home. This last year, my daughter went to school 4 hours a day in kindergarten, and so now she's home all day. And they, of course, both have a lot more free time. My son is no longer in high school. He's no longer in 9th grade, which took a lot of his day. And so they have a lot of time. They have a lot more time than I do. So during each day, we take a time, and I call it quiet time. The reality is they are both well out of that time period where they're going to take a nap. Occasionally, if we had a late night and they woke up early, they may actually fall asleep during quiet time. I don't expect them to fall asleep during quiet time. Quiet time is just a time that we each go to our rooms. They can read a book. They can lay on the bed and rest. This is not a media time for us. This is just a quiet time. We're going to be quiet. We're going to rest. You don't have to sleep, but we are going to take a time of rest. I like to do this for about an hour. For me, this allows me quiet time, but it also allows me, if I need to make a phone call for work that I don't want to be disturbed, I can use this time for whatever I need to use this time for. But if you are home all day with your children, I encourage you to try this out. It's a great opportunity for you just to have a minute, fix a cup of coffee, sit down in the chair, and just enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet during your day. The last tip I want to share with you is regarding media time. This is something that I've talked about so often with my friends who are parents, and I hear about this on social media. How do we limit our kids with media time? Now, there are definitely some days that they receive more media time than I would prefer. But for a normal day, the best way that we have found to limit media time is our children are just not allowed access to games or to the computer, to the iPads, whatever, until they have completed the necessary things on their list. The list has some things that are creative things. It has some things that are chores. They have to get those things done. And then at the end of that time, we determine a certain amount of time that they're each allowed on a device, on any sort of media, whether that's an iPad or watching a movie or whatever. And those are things that you can work out within your own family and work out those time constraints within your own family. But you're the parent, you get to pick. And so we let them know this is the allotted amount of time. You can use it however you want. You can play a game, you can watch a movie, you can watch a couple of shows, but this is the time period that we have allotted. And it really helps from my kids waking up and saying, oh, I want the iPad. Like immediately, I want to watch a show. When you create a culture of this is what is going to happen. Now, it may be a Saturday and those things don't necessarily apply on a Saturday or maybe a Sunday. So you get to determine what days of the week that you're going to have these schedules and what days that you're going to decide to constrain that media time. But I encourage you just to try out creating this list. These are the things we're going to get done first. Once these things are done, then you can have some media time. This makes life so much easier for me as a mom because rather than my daughter saying, Mom, can I have the iPad? Mom, can I have the iPad? All I have to do is ask her, have you finished your list? And if she's finished her list, fantastic. Then it's time for you to have your media time. This works especially well with my teenager. It's something we utilize throughout the year. And I encourage you just to try it out because it's worked really well for our family. Creating these summer schedules has really been beneficial to us. And the way that I typically do this is I will print one out for the week for each of my kids. My son utilizes a planner during the school year. He's in high school now, and so we're doing something a little bit different. But for the summer, we print out a list. That is the way I prefer to do it. You absolutely could print out a master list and laminate it and then reuse it throughout the summer. For us, it works best just to print one for each week, and then that way they can go through and check those off. It's also an easy way for me to keep up with their commissions. I can write those down at the bottom of the extra things they've done for them to earn their commissions. At the end of the week, they can get paid for that. So remember, do what works best for you. Do what works best for your family. I will include samples of the list that we have for our family in the blog post that I'll have linked below in the notes. I hope you have a great summer, and don't forget to be sure that you have margin for the good things in your summer.